What is going on, guys? It is Dylan with DFS bringing you another video. This video is going live Thursday morning, so if any players I suggest or talk about here have only had news by Thursday, so anything else after Thursday, I'll try to get to in the last video of the week when I talk about the line. So, yeah, I think it's very interesting this week that DeAndre Hopkins is the most expensive wide receiver at 8,200. I think it's still a great price for him. Miami does have a decent defense. We've seen what that defense is capable of doing, but at the same time, Arizona has a hot offense right now, and DeAndre Hopkins is just doing what he did in Houston, but with a little more freedom. He has a lot more help offensively. Coaching wise too, he has a lot more help, but I mean, we could just look at his numbers here, and he has 57 receptions for 704 yards, in 73 targets. It's unreal. He only has 3 touchdowns too, which is crazy, and he's still putting up an average of 22.3 fantasy points a game. So yeah, another opportunity against Miami here. The only thing that I'm afraid of is how Miami's going to pace the game offensively. I think they're going to try to keep their offense on the field as long as they can, give their defense a rest, and go toe-to-toe with Arizona's offense. But maybe I could be wrong, and Miami finally just unleashes Tua here, game 2. I don't see it, but could happen. Just depends on who they have at running back. So 8,200, great price for Hopkins. I'm still fine of paying 8,200 for him. DK Metcalf at 7,800. It's either DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett. One of those guys are going to go off here, and it's the only difference that you have is $1,000 price difference. In a situation like that, I definitely go Tyler Lockett here. Granted, Buffalo has an okay defense. They're not what they were last year. But it seems like here and there they hit their stride, but Seattle's offense is just too good. And if Buffalo's offense is hot, then they're going to have to go toe-to-toe with them, and we could easily see a shootout in this game. But in a situation like this, the way I can compare this to is Tampa Bay last year with Godwin and Evans, to where one or two of them were going off, and you just have to see the matchup. I think both of them are in a fair matchup, but for $1,000 less, I'd probably just go Tyler Lockett this week. If he doesn't go off, he's still going to have a decent game, but for two guys that pretty much go back and forth of explosive games, you just go the guy that's cheaper, in my opinion, especially when it's $1,000. Stephon Diggs, if you're going to do a Seattle-Buffalo stack, I easily suggest getting Tyler Lockett. Definitely suggest Stephon Diggs. I mean, Seattle's defensive backs are just really bad, and then Griffin is going to be out this week, I do believe. So Stephon Diggs has got even a better shot. If you don't want to go Diggs, if you can't find that cap space, if you're going to run Allen or Wilson because they are above 7,000 apiece, and then get Tyler Lockett at 6,800, you're paying a lot of money for 3 players right there. You could definitely go Cole Beasley. He's a very safe play. He's a lot more expensive than I'd like him to be, and we'll talk about him when we get down there. But John Brown is somebody who can easily go off. We have yet to see it, but hopefully we might. But Stephon Diggs is probably the guy you want to get to if you're going to get somebody. If Calvin Ridley is out against Denver, I'm fine with paying up for Julio. We've seen what Julio's capable of. I mean, it's Julio Jones, one of the best receivers in the league. And if Calvin Ridley's gone and it's only him and Gage and Hayden Hurst as some of your top targets, then yeah, I'm 7,200 against Denver. And if Denver can score the ball, Atlanta's going to have to throw in. Julio's going to be one of the guys that he's going to throw to. So 7,200 Julio Jones, I'm fine with paying this week. Tyreek Hill, 7,100 against Carolina. I love Tyreek Hill with Watkins being out. Still love him. Helps me more. I'd probably rather just always go Kelsey. Kelsey is one of the most targeted pass catchers in the league, for one. And two, he's one of the most targeted red zone guys in the league. So that's one of the guys that you want to have on your roster. So I'd probably go Kelsey this week over Tyreek Hill. Keenan Allen, I like Justin Herbert a lot this week, so that's why I like Keenan Allen to go with that. So 7,000, he's one of the guys I'm going to target, especially going against a Vegas defense that just gives up a lot of points, passing yards, and all that good stuff. So Keenan Allen's definitely on my watch radar. Plus, I mean, it seems like he steals every red zone touchdown, no matter if it's a yard or 20 yards. He always gets that red zone touchdown. Cameron Ridley, like I was talking about Julio, you just got to watch the injury. I don't know if he's going to play. It doesn't seem like it, but if he does, the value for Julio goes down a little for me. Allen Robinson against Tennessee. As much as I'd like to go Allen Robinson, and I mean he's one of the most targeted receivers in the league, and at 6,900, that's a pretty good price point for him, especially against a terrible Tennessee pass defense. But my problem with the Bears this week is their offensive line is just completely hurt. They don't have a good offensive line in general, but what they did have is all hurt for the most part. So Tennessee's defensive line, if they can get in there, I know they did a couple trades. It's going to be a long day for the Bears to do anything offensively. So as much as I would like to go Allen Robinson here in a normal week if the offensive line wasn't as banged up, I'm just going to stay away from them in cash and find a safer play like Tyler Lockett $1,000 cheaper, or another guy $100 cheaper is Will Fuller, 6,800 against Jacksonville. He did play Jacksonville 2 weeks ago and put up 15.8 points, which is okay for somebody that's 6,600. 6,800 this week. And like I said, with Gardner Minshew being out, it just puts the ball in Houston's offense that much more. And hopefully this time they don't have to do the catch-up game script that they continuously do every week. No. So yeah. Adam Thielen at 6,700 against Detroit, I think is going to be really interesting here with Matt Stafford being out for, possibly being out for COVID Sunday. Detroit's cornerbacks have been doing semi-decent lately, so that's definitely worth a look. But my eye is on Justin Jefferson this week against Detroit rather than Adam Thielen, but Adam Thielen has been playing some good football lately. You look at his past 3 out of 4 weeks, and he's got a touchdown in all of those games. And he's been targeted heavy against the Seattle and Houston. Green Bay, it's just hard to do anything against Green Bay's defensive back, so I don't blame him there. A.J. Brown against Chicago. I'm going to target, I will continue to do it every week. I'm going to find who's going against Jalen Johnson, and I'm going to play them. So it's just depending. I saw that I believe Adam Humphries is going to be gone this week, so I'm going to see who's going to line up against Jalen Johnson and probably target them. So if it's A.J. Brown, then yes. If it's going to be Corey Davis, then I'm going to go Corey Davis. Vice versa, whoever's going against Kyle Fuller, I'd totally advise staying away from them. McLaurin is... The fact that McLaurin is $6,500 on a terrible Washington offense, it is really terrible. But you look at the numbers that he puts up, like, this kid is going to be good. He's going to be a top 10 receiver. Sorry, it was almost hard to say. Top 10 receiver in the league if he can get in a quarterback and some linemen around him that allow him to do what he does. Because the way he just gets open is... It's crazy. If you watch a Washington Redskin game or Washington football team game, it's crazy of who he goes against and what he does. His route running is just phenomenal, and his hands are great. So, 6,500 against the Giants cornerbacks, who, we've seen they've been playing really good ball. So, but he's the only guy that gets targeted. Depending on who the quarterback for Washington is going to be this week, I think they announced it, but I'm not fully sure yet. But as long as it's not Dwayne Haskins and McLaurin's they just continue to feed him the ball. So 6,500 is a great price for him. Robbie Anderson against Kansas City. I'm probably going to stay away from Carolina receivers this week just because they're going against a crazy good Kansas City pass game defense. So I'm probably going to stay away from all of Carolina's receivers this week. There's too much value in other places for me to try to get to them. Maybe in a couple GPPs as a one-off, but that's about it. Juju Smith-Schuster, as much as I'd like to get to all these Pittsburgh receivers, there's just so much talent now, and it's ridiculous. Claypool is just having a phenomenal year. I don't think anyone expected that. But Johnson's also going to be healthy. I didn't see any news on him. Yeah, Johnson's going to be healthy. So you have 3 receivers with a lot of potential to go off against one of the worst defenses in the league. Terrible teams. If you want to go somebody from Pittsburgh, it'd be Juju for me. Claypool's definitely in a good spot, so is Johnson. I'd probably go Johnson over Claypool, though, but all 3 of them, good plays. It's just the target share is all over the place for that team, so probably some GPPs would be better than cash, but still great for him. Like I mentioned earlier, Justin Jefferson is who I have my eye on against Detroit this week, 6,100. I think he's just due for another big game here, and it has a game script for it. As long as Kirk Cousins doesn't throw 3 interceptions in the first quarter, we're going to be good. One of the interesting things this week is Lamar Jackson blaming himself for Hollywood Brown not getting the ball, getting targets. It might be Hollywood Brown week. It might be. They're going against one of the best defensive units in the league. I mean, you can look at the numbers that Marquise Brown has put up, and he's only had 3 good weeks. Only 2 touchdowns on the season, and for somebody, and they've played some pretty favorable games against Philly, Cincinnati, Houston. I mean, they dominated Cleveland. He had a great game that game. But yeah, for somebody, and they don't have a lot of talent receiver-wise. He's your guy. He should be included a whole lot more than he is. So this might be a really good game for Marquise Brown, the way Lamar Jackson says it. Corey Davis, talked about Corey Davis. Whoever's lining up against Jalen Johnson for Tennessee, go after them. We talked about Carolina receivers. Amari Cooper. If you play a Dallas player, my prayers are with you, because that team is just, they're tanking. They're going to tank. That's what they're going to do now. So, I just stay away from Dallas the rest of the year until Andy Dalton comes back at least, but even then, it's still scary. Brandon Cooks, another player in a good spot here against Jacksonville, 5,500. It's a fair price. I'd like to see him a little lower, probably in the high 4,000 range, but 5,500, still there. Cole Beasley, like I said, 5,400 is another player that I'd like to see in that high 4 range. I think he's at the 5 range just because of how bad Seattle's pass defense is. But, I mean, Cole Beasley is one of those guys, fantasy-wise, that you love to see. Besides this week against New England, I mean, look at his numbers. Like, fairly fair numbers. Only 2 touchdowns this season, too. 5,400. Great game script for him. I'm fine with, perfectly fine with paying that. Christian Kirk has just, I don't know what's been going on. I mean, you can look at just the fantasy point numbers. He's had 4 touchdowns in the last 2 games. The last 4 games, he's put up at least 10 fantasy points, and his salary was $4,400 at one point. It's $5,300 against Miami, and apparently him and Kyler Murray are just finding something that's clicking right now, and that, like I said, if that offense just gets a really good rhythm, it's going to be scary, because DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk, and then you can't forget about Larry Fitzgerald. That offense could be something scary. Devontae Parker against Arizona. I'd like to see who is going against Patrick Peterson. If it is going to be Devontae Parker, I'd like to stay away from him. I still think the Miami running backs have a lot more value than Miami receivers. You just have to figure out who Tua is going to be comfortable with. So we're going to have to wait 2 or 3 weeks before we start getting really invested into these receivers. DJ Chark, For his price, I like it. Glennon's his quarterback. I don't like it. So I'm going to stay away from that. Mike Williams, 5,100 against Vegas. Great price. I like all Chargers guys. Williams, Allen, Henry. All three of them, I think, is fine in paying. If Matt Stafford's in, Marvin Jones Jr. should be one of the chalkiest plays this week. 5,100, extremely cheap, playing a terrible pass defense in Minnesota. And without Galladay, Marvin Jones Jr. might be the guy. So, Stafford's in. You have to target Marvin Jones Jr. this week. I'm going to stay away from the Giants against Washington. It's a big divisional game this week. Washington's playing really good, so I'm going to stay away from the Giants players in all. Henry Ruggs, if you're going to stack the Chargers-Vegas game, if you're going to stack the Chargers against Vegas, Henry Ruggs is someone I suggest going for, unless you're going to go Waller. Waller's a solid pick. He's just 5,800. Ruggs is 4,900, a little bit cheaper there. So Henry Ruggs, 4,900. I think, I mean, you look at what he's done, and it doesn't give you a promising feeling. But with how much points both defenses give up, especially late in the game, Henry Ruggs could be due for a good game here. The Denver receivers, the one I like more than anybody is Jerry Jeudy this week. He's 4,700 playing Atlanta. Another terrible pass defense. 4,700. I think it's great value. I think he's due for a really good game. He's going to have a healthy Drew Lock. So Jerry Jeudy at 4,700, definitely a player I love this week. There's definitely some value here. But as far as cash, you just have to wait to see who's going to be in, who's going to be out. But Jerry Jeudy at 4,700 is probably the last player that I'd consider heavy for cash unless a major injury occurs. He's one of the last guys that I'm going to target for cash at 4,700. So hope this did help, guys. I'm going to try to keep consistent with videos. It might be hard. I do have a pretty rough work schedule. It is going to change come Thanksgiving weekend. So whenever that happens, the videos will be consistent for sure. But I'm going to try my best to keep some type of videos out for you guys. If you don't have a chance to watch the videos, definitely go to astrodfs.com or follow us on Twitter. We'll post the articles there. I also post the articles on Reddit, so definitely head over there too. And we're going to give out our last plays of the week, some players to target, so definitely check that out. Check it out for the showdown tonight too, Green Bay against San Francisco, so check that one out. And if you want to join our Discord, join our Discord. It'll have the subscription plans for our packages on our website, so you'll have to go to the website first, get the package, and then it'll send you to Discord for our plays for the week. So like I said, hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for the support. Really is appreciated. So I will see you guys in the next video.